there's a few things that I need to get off my chest throughout the course of this production. So I'm not necessarily sure how long I'll be. Either way, I advise each and every one of you to listen to me very carefully. Some time ago, this is back in, on Easter Sunday, I was supposed to do a follow-up production to 2 live streams that Crystal and Karazin had produced pertaining to David Carroll. And I stated I was going to try to gather some information about this, some screenshots that I wanted to take. However, she set those live streams either to private or took them down completely. So they are not viewable on YouTube. Nonetheless, a brother got back to me with the actual live streams, downloaded them and sent it to me via email. So I actually have both of the live streams. I took a couple of screenshots, and as a matter of fact, I went through an old cell phone of mine to try to gather some more screenshots of messages that I exchanged with David Carroll, or the late David Carroll, I should say, back in 2015. So I still have not put everything together yet, but I'm still getting everything in order. And I will deal with that once I take the sound bites that I want to get out of the live streams that the Pink Pill produced and the text messages. Once I clean everything up, then I will thoroughly address that on a later date. So as of right now, I've decided to put that on the back burner. Because what I need to discuss right now is significantly more important. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about the political state and the political reputation of Black people. The reputation of Black people nationwide. I've been sitting back listening to what's taking place in Chicago. And we see now that there's an influx of illegals being pushed into Black communities. That they are literally slapping in the face the Black people who actually live in these communities in Chicago, Illinois. To the point where there are resources and buildings and facilities that the Black people wanted to get access to so it can further benefit their community, while being denied this after years of trying to get these things done, being told why they can't do it. All of a sudden here you have an influx of illegals, this engineered, man-made crisis. Now, I'm not going to refer to them as migrants. These are illegals. That's what they are. And it's important that you're very careful on the wording that you use here. Because everything that these Democrats are doing, this is a matter of using wording, not only to plant it in your subconscious, but to get you to get you to accept this, to make for more acceptance and to normalize what you should not be normalizing. So this is why they're calling them the migrants. Let's make it perfectly clear. They're not migrants, they're illegals. If you have not filed any paperwork to get into this country and you got in here by simply bum rushing the border, then you are an illegal alien. It is just that damn simple. Now, with that being stated, we see that they are now, what they are literally doing. And this is nothing more. You can see that the writing is right on the wall. This is a means of displacing Black people. Displacing Black people in Chicago. And anybody who knows a thing or two about inflation, which I'm not the greatest to speak about this, but it's just a simple mathematical equation. If you already are having problems with a failing city, what do you think is going to happen when you bring in more people who don't have resources, who don't have money? Many of them, you don't even know what backgrounds they come from. What do you think is going to happen to that city? You're going to have a larger influx of crime, drugs, and all kinds of debauchery that's going to take place in the city. Now, I want y'all to remember years ago, I believe this is back in 2017, so we're talking about close to 6 years ago. I told y'all that in Chicago, all this stuff that goes on, and they always love to use Chicago as the fallback zone, as well, what about black on black crime? Whenever they want to lecture black people, whenever they want to chastise black people, and they want to talk about how black people, why this is why we could say you fit the bill for making up 80% of the violent murders, but yet being less than 13% of the population. And when they bring this up, they always love referencing Chicago. And I told y'all that this was engineered back then, and we most certainly see that this is being engineered as we speak in 2023. Because if they wanted to solve that problem, you are not going to have a bum rush of illegals showing up into these neighborhoods. And I furthermore said, we don't even know who the hell is committing these crimes because they never actually have a suspect. So now you are starting to see when they talk about what about the black on black crime. My question now is, how much of it is really black on black crime? I'm not saying that there isn't black on black crime, but what is the actual percentage? What is the actual number? How many people have you caught in the past how many years that commit these crimes? But I digress from that. I just wanted y'all to see that if they want to get something done, they could go ahead and do it tomorrow if they wanted to. If they wanted to end the crime in Chicago, they could have put an end on that a long time ago, and they simply chose not to. Because that is being engineered, just like this migrant, they're calling them migrants, but they're really illegals. This man-made crisis, engineered crisis that they made is nothing more but something that they themselves are orchestrating and have engineered themselves. And I'm talking about your Democrats. Now, we see what is taking place. And all of this has been brought to you by none other than the very president we got sitting in the White House right now. And I'm talking about this bumbling idiot, this washed up has-been known as Joe Biden. A man who is not worthy for the position that he holds. A man who I said this during the Trump era, but boy, was I wrong. Because Joe Biden, and you know what, I'm not even going to put my own foot in my mouth like I did back then, because who knows, you could end up with somebody worse than him. You can always get Kamala Harris. So I'm not even going to go ahead and say that, but just as of right now, Joe Biden is the worst president that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Everybody knows this. There's no place that I've gone where people talk favorable about him. It is just not happening. Everyone knows this. But we have to take a look at how this is actually happening now, and how the help that Joe Biden was able to use to get into the White House by having black people go out here and cast a vote for this guy. So a lot of y'all went out here and y'all voted for this guy. Just like the new mayor of Chicago, Brandon, whatever his name is. Y'all went out here and y'all elected this guy. And mainly over the fact that he's a Democrat. Y'all seen already took place what has happened with Lori Lightfoot, a disaster of a mayor, a one-term mayor, and how many years? I think over 100 years in Chicago. And y'all are still going out and blindly voting for these Democrats that promise you absolutely nothing. And this is the scary part about black people. And I'm going to tell you also, it comes from mainly two groups of black people who think like this. This is going to be from your old, failed, washed up civil rights generation who has accomplished nothing, has no wins under their belt, aren't worthy of any type of respect because you built nothing. And this also comes from defiant black women. Now, the scary part about this is what we are witnessing and what these Negroes have demonstrated. These Negroes have demonstrated that you lack critical thinking, and I'm talking about nationwide and possibly even globally at this point in time. You've demonstrated that you lack critical thinking, that you lack self-awareness, that you lack the rules of self-preservation and survival, that this is completely gone, null and void. You're completely devoid of this. Most certainly, and worst of all, is that you lack foresight. The Negroes lack foresight. What do I mean when I say foresight? Foresight to be able to see when you've done something, when you implement a strategy, to be able to then have the capacity to analyze that strategy and realize whether the strategy is actually effective, whether it is actually working, and when it's completely ineffective, and when you need to change up the strategy. You can take the latter of the two out of what I just said. And this is where black people, the reputation of black people at collectively. You Negroes have been using ineffective strategies for how long? For more than 60 years that has done absolutely nothing for you. And you fail to realize that that strategy has not worked. It's just like some of these Negroes you talk to now. And if you talk to them about real issues that are taking place in black society, they're going to turn around and respond to you with the Quran, the Most High, God, Jesus, a bunch of intangibles that amount to absolutely nothing. If you point out what black people are being faced with physical actions, the real threat which you are being dealt with, which is white supremacy, and this mainly comes through your Democrats. You try to get a group of Negroes on a panel to have a serious discussion and they want to sit up here and talk about the Most High. You want to talk about how other groups of people are where they're at and how they got money, finances, resources, political power. The Negroes will respond to you about the Most High. Intangibles. Going to church every Sunday. It is just like the Negroes who sit in church every Sunday. And you ask them, why do you continue to go to church? The church offers absolutely nothing to you. The church doesn't empower you. The church doesn't teach you about anything politically. They teach you absolutely nothing, but you still continue to go into these churches and give them your money. And this is mainly black women that do this. Institutions that sit on damn near every street corner and the most irrelevant institutions in black society. And you Negroes still continue to go into these churches and get absolutely nothing out of it. It's pretty similar to the Negroes back in 2015 that were in that church and allowed Dylan Roof to walk inside that church. A guy who looks suspect from the moment you can lay eyes on him. Anybody with half a fucking brain will know, don't let this guy to your facility. But this, once again, is a matter of lacking foresight. Is a matter of lacking critical thinking, which is why they invited him into the church and see nothing wrong with this. And then even after they fed him, prayed with him, and he pulled out his gun and killed, 8 or 9 of these people. Before the bodies were in the fucking grave, the family members, without him even asking for an apology or offering an apology or forgiveness, immediately talk about how they forgive this guy, how they love this guy, and want to invite him to their next ceremony. I mean, this is the level of incomprehensible stupidity of what you are dealing with. I mean, this guy just murdered 9 of your family members. I mean, at this point in time, it is a natural reaction for you to have anger. Hell, to even have vengeance in your heart. That is a natural reaction. It's not unhealthy for you to feel this way. What is unnatural is for you to sit here and want to love the murderer of your loved ones. That is a sickness that I will not attempt to cure. That's just where I'm at. I told y'all years ago. I've said this somewhere around 2014, 2015. Keep stupid people far, far away from me. Oh, before I go any further, let me say this because I forgot to actually run down my usual formation. Get my thumbs up, man. Get my likes up. Share the productions. And also, for those of you who appreciate this production, if you wish to leave a donation, the links are via the description box. Choose which one you want to use. We know I'm not in the algorithms the way I used to be because I don't make content as often as I used to. So my name is not circulating out there like that. And also, YouTube has shadow banned and suppressed this channel since back 2020, I believe. So if you appreciate the productions, feel free. Get the likes up, give me the thumbs up, share the productions, and if you would like to, feel free to leave a donation with the links via the description box. Now, with that being stated, I told y'all sometime around 2014, 2015, that a stupid motherfucker is a dangerous motherfucker. Keep them far away from me, because they will get you either into a situation that you can't get out of, or they will get you killed. And the one thing I have absolutely zero patience for, zero tolerance, none whatsoever, is willful stupidity. I'm not talking about somebody who doesn't know. I'm not talking about somebody who's naive. I'm not talking about somebody who's handicapped. I'm talking about somebody who is willfully stupid, basks in stupidity. Stay the hell away from me, because I have absolutely no compassion for that. None whatsoever. And I can also let you know why, when it comes down to certain cases where some of these black men end up getting killed by doing something egregiously stupid, this is the reason why I don't come out to defend them. Because I have absolutely no patience. Now, with that being said, let me just go and make my position stated on this. I don't justify somebody being killed. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm not justifying these guys being killed. What I'm saying is I have no compassion for them. I have no compassion for willful ignorance. I have no compassion for willful stupidity. Because this is the very same mindset that has led black people, black Americans, into being in the condition that we are in right now. And before your stupidity can come back to encage me in a prison that you helped to construct, I would rather you be in that prison before me. Better you than me. If that means that one of the two of us got to go, better you than me is what I say. I'm not paying the price for your stupidity. And this is exactly what we are dealing with when it comes down to black America in this country. Unprecedented, unrelenting stupidity. And the church is just one area where you can see this type of behavior exhibited. These Negroes will sit up here and pray to a deity that has never revealed itself to you, never told you that it existed, never told you that you were the chosen people, never told you any goddamn thing. You're just going off of what the pastor has told you, and we see how quickly these beliefs switch up now when they want to include LGBTQIA+, whatever you want to mention, the Alphabet City community. And all of a sudden, things that were written in stone now can change up at the drop of a dime. And all that takes place, and still, your deity that you believe in does not come back to correct that. But you still keep putting belief in this deity. And I'm not telling people not to believe in a creator or some sort. But when you put so much, when you listen to a lot of these Negroes talk, they say, well, leave it to the Most High. The Most High is we need divine intervention. Okay, it's been, how many hundreds of years have gone by? And black people have been in the condition that we are in, and there has been no divine intervention. At what point do you realize you are your divine intervention? Not God, not the Most High, not Jesus, not some spiritual deity that you believe in, but you. And if you are not going to make this happen, it is up to you to ensure your survival. Your survival tomorrow is not promised to you. The survival of your race is not guaranteed. The only one that can ensure that are black people. And I'm going to say this much, I am utterly disgusted with this unrelenting conclave of cowardly Negroes who will sit up here and still keep implementing the fact that you don't have an answer, you don't have a strategy, so the only thing that you can fall back on is, well, leave it to God, leave it to Jesus. No, you don't have an answer. And listen, I would be fine if you simply admitted that you don't have an answer, but to keep implementing something, a strategy that is completely ineffective, does not produce results, provide tangibles, provide resources, produces absolutely nothing. And y'all still continue to sit back and follow this. At this point in time, I have no other choice but to classify you as a fucking coward. Y'all are cowards. There's no other way this can be said. You see, the way my mind works, I don't care what you're telling me to believe in and what to back. If it doesn't benefit me, if it doesn't benefit something that's a part of my legacy or that's a part of my agenda, I don't back it. This is why you can't get me in the church and spew that nonsense into my ear and expect me to sit there and listen to it. I walked away from the church years ago. I'm talking about my late teens. In my mid to early teens is when I started to notice there was a problem with it. And I was never into it like that anyway. But I knew there was a problem. I most certainly knew back in my late teens. In my early 20s, I knew that this is the place for me. Because what I seen out of there is that this church produces absolutely nothing. And maybe some of y'all don't go to church. Maybe some of y'all read the Quran or whatever the case is. And like I told you, what you'll have is a bunch of Negroes having a dick swinging contest on who's a better scholar at the Quran. Who's a better scholar when it comes down to knowing the Most High. And none of this actually amounts to any tangible action that benefits you. That's the scary part. But y'all want to be scholars on things that produce no results, that have no consequential benefit, and produce no tangibles. This is what we're dealing with. It gets sickening to my stomach. And then y'all think y'all are going to deal with the face of white supremacy that engages in physical actions. And what do I mean by this? What they're doing in Chicago right now. They are engaging in physical actions, attempting to make you, what, the third or fourth at the goddamn list, at the population list? Trying to dilute your damn race? Have everyone else get say so before you, so that way you're at the bottom of the goddamn barrel, just dogpiling every goddamn thing imaginable on top of you. See, that is what you call physical actions. And the Negroes are responding back with, have faith in the Most High, have faith in Jesus. But yet all of this is taking place. Physical actions, and you are responding to physical actions of white supremacy. Because as far as I'm concerned, the Democrats are the biggest white supremacists that are out there, are your Democrats. So you're responding to physical actions with a mere belief system. Tell me where else in the society, where in any part of the planet does that work? It has never worked. Because if you can't turn the Quran, the Most High, God, Jesus, Yahshua, whatever you classify it as, if you can't demonstrate for me how this actually produces results, then as far as I'm concerned, we have absolutely nothing to talk about. Well, I know what some of y'all going to come back and say, well, you know, one day you're going to have to answer to the Most High. That day come for all of us. You're going to have to answer for what you're saying now. Okay. So when that day comes and the Most High says, brother of logic and common sense, you need to explain why you did not believe in me and follow my words. I would say it's pretty simple as this, because it led to nothing tangible. It provided no physical benefit for me, for anything I'm building in my life, for my agenda. It fits nowhere in my equation. And it's pretty damn simple. If you want to lead somebody, you have to showcase that you can produce results. It is just that goddamn simple. A piss poor leader doesn't stay in leadership for long periods of time. People aren't going to follow somebody who doesn't know what they're doing when it comes down to leading. And this is what I try to get y'all to understand when it comes down to what y'all have been indoctrinated in, when it comes down to this belief of a Most High, a God, a Yahshua, whatever. Around believing in this, and you're saying you're going to be a disciple of this creator, then there has to actually be a benefit in it for you. This is the only way you get followers, is when you can produce benefits. And it's pretty simple, because this is a simple aspect and concept that goes on in every realm of life. Think about it. Would you go ahead and do something over and over again and keep giving yours and giving and giving and getting absolutely nothing back in return? No. Would you go to a job and work for free at that job for all these years, long hours, get paid nothing, get no benefits, get absolutely nothing, but you still continue to go there and punch a clock and deal with hell day in and day out? Would you do that? No. Why? Why wouldn't you go there? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't produce benefits. There's no tangibles in this. And it is just that simple. And when you start gauging life from that perspective, this is what I mean when I say the Negroes engage in using strategies that are ineffective, and y'all don't switch up the goddamn strategy. That's some of the scariest shit, if not probably the scariest thing when it comes down to black people. I cannot comprehend that level of stupidity. I refuse to. I told you there was a story that a black woman stated on YouTube. I think it was back in 2021. And she talked about, I think it was somebody by the name of Job, one of these biblical characters or whatever, and talked about how Satan made a bet with the Most High, stating how he can get his most faithful disciple, his loyal servant, to turn on him. And the Most High stated, there's nothing that you can do that's going to get my servant Job, my loyal, faithful servant, to turn on me. And I just want y'all to think about the wording on top. Like I told y'all, be careful with the wording. Servant. Servant. I don't like being somebody's servant. So that's another thing that just don't work for me. It just, I mean, like I told y'all years ago, this sounds like nothing more but a book on how to mentally make a slave. But anyhow, back to the story. But they placed a bet on his servant. Played a game. And the Most High allowed Satan to kill this Job's family, just let some of those horrific things happen to him. I can't remember in detail what she said when I listened to the story. But when I listened to this, I said, what about this makes me, will make anyone want to follow a deity like this? This is evil. See, at some point, y'all got to classify this for what it is. This is evil. There's nothing that you attempt to rationalize when it comes down to activities like this. Wait a second, you mean to tell me, for being a loyal servant of yours, which I'm not nobody's goddamn servant, but let me just go ahead and think about it from the perspective of Job. After being a loyal disciple, being a loyal servant of yours, carrying out your will, living my life the way you wanted me to, following your instructions, putting you above everybody else, that you can somehow allow this level of unprecedented evil to happen to me and my family. As far as I'm concerned, fuck you. That's where I'm at, from the bottom of my heart. And listen, at that point in time, if I was Job, I'd be after this so-called God, this Most High, this Creator, that would let something like this happen to me. You gave me no protection, then you would let this happen? As long as I'm living, as long as I got a soul, I am going to use whatever I got left in this soul to attempt to destroy you. Because that right there is evil within itself. So what leaves Negroes to think that somehow this is a positive story, that this is something that you should tell people and think that, hey, well, wow, ain't that a wonderful story? No, that's a horror story. That's terrible. Now, I know I'm kind of rambling on with this, but I want people to think about some of the lunacy that y'all have been indoctrinated in and what you believe you should actually follow. And I say, hell no to that. Not for 1 second. No, I refuse to follow it. And if it's no benefit of mine, if it doesn't serve my agenda, I don't follow it. I don't give a damn who it is. That's just what it is. And what I'm telling black people to do is start focusing. The first, any living organism's first instinct is self-preservation, survival. The means to defend yourself, replicating yourself, making sure that your fucking group continues well after you're gone. This is a natural instinct and a natural order of things. But somewhere along the lines, it seems like the Negroes have forgotten about this. Like they can't comprehend what this really is, what this means. They don't know what's being said to them. This is why they follow intangible belief systems. They go to institutions that do and provide absolutely nothing for them. And they're comfortable with this. And the thing that you see when it comes down to the Negroes, like I said, when they have the dick swinging contests about knowing the Most High and they want to brag about who knows more about the Quran, it's something that is intangible. Why would I care? Look at the condition that we're in. Why do I care about the Most High? Why do I care about the Quran? Why do I care about the Bible? Why? Until you can showcase that this is a physical benefit that can produce right here in the now. Until you can showcase or manifest that into physical actions, don't even talk about it is what I'm saying. That's just your belief system. When you want to sit down and discuss belief systems, fine, do that on a different playing field. But when it comes down to dealing with issues that we're going through right here and right now, God, the Quran, the Most High, the Black Church has absolutely no business being involved in these discussions. None whatsoever. None. And I'm going to tell y'all something right now. For those of you who are actually serious about trying to get something done, when you come across a Negroes who want to have a dick swinging contest on nonsense like this, you need to dismiss that conversation. End it immediately. When you're talking about planning and strategizing how you are going to get things done, and these Negroes are responding back to you with foolishness, you need to quickly dismiss that out of the conversation. Get up, get out of the room right now. We're not having no further conversation. You have to demonstrate that you have a no-nonsense policy or tolerance for willful stupidity. In the same way you have these Negroes who would sit up here and talk about God and put him in such a high esteem, a deity that they know nothing about, can't even prove to you that it even exists. They have this undying loyalty, even if it costs them their lives. Even when they can clearly see that in a house of God, that you're not even safe against a white supremacist. That they can still walk in there and gun you down in the Lord's house. And at some point, you don't disconnect yourself from that nonsense, from this level of foolishness that led to that even being able to manifest itself in the first place. This is the same thing that I'm talking about when I say the Negroes lack the ability to realize and analyze when you have been using an ineffective strategy that has never worked for you. And say, okay, at some point it is time to change up the game plan because this is not working. This is ineffective. The Negroes don't have that ability. And you can tie this in the same way when it comes down to these Negroes for more than 60 plus years going out here and voting for a political party who has systematically fucked you over time and time again. We're talking about more than half a fucking century now. The same shit has been going on. And the Negroes lack the ability to be able to pick up and analyze when you are dealing with a strategy that is ineffective and when you need to switch this fucking strategy up. But when you try to sit down and have conversation with these Negroes and tell these Negroes, hey man, listen, this ain't working. At some point, we might have to switch up the strategy. The Negroes then will get irate with you. They will get infuriated with you. And when it comes down to these old washed up civil rights generation Negroes, these are going to be the ones who are going to go out here and say vote blue no matter who. At this point in time, what I'm telling you are for black people, men and women who think critically like myself. At some point, I told y'all this back in 2019 after the Amber Geiger trial, when it came down to Brett Jean hugging the murderer of his brother and wishing that she didn't even go to jail. I told y'all at some point, it is going to get to a point where you're going to have to get your hands dirty. It is going to get to a point where you are going to have to make harsh decisions that you never thought you were going to have to make. Because what you are going to have to conclude is when you were sitting up in a courtroom trying to gain justice for your family member, and one of your same family members or friends or colleagues or whoever can sit up here and now tell the murderer of your loved one, your family member, that you love them. Don't even want to see them go to jail and wants to give them a hug. At that point in time, you have to now, there's nothing to sit around arguing over. You have to conclude that you are a traitor. This is treasonous behavior. Now, I can't tell y'all what to do, but if that was a son of mine, you can never step foot back in my home ever again. You couldn't even step within 10 feet of me. Get the hell away from me. Your belongings, don't show up to the house. I'll have it sent to you. Because this is disgusting. This is unnatural behavior. And what this does is it sets a precedent globally that you ain't got to respect these Negroes. And this is why I utterly despise people like Brett Jean. Because you set the precedent that, hey, you ain't got to respect them. You can murder them and their own family members are going to sit up here and want to hug it up with you, want to make love to you, want to hug and kiss you. Likewise, when it came down to the Dylan Roof situation in South Carolina, how they were saying they love the killer. This is dangerous. And as far as I'm concerned, the Negroes who were saying, yeah, come to our church again, you know what? Why don't y'all let it? Okay, you know what? I say this much. Why don't y'all give Dylan Roof his AK-47 back? And let them host a church ceremony in his jail cell. Walk away for a little bit. Give it about half an hour. Let them sit down and pray and eat and read the scriptures, and let them have another ceremony. And I say just leave the place for about an hour. Because what I'm going to say about this is this, right? At this point in time, if you're this stupid, then pretty much what you are showcasing is you have no valuable purpose in this world. You cannot be so egregiously stupid to the point where this is offensive and think that you can carry on like this and yet think that your survival somehow should still be insured. I'm not insuring that. Sorry. I'm not coming to back that. Sorry. As far as I'm concerned, like I said, I'm going to leave it at that. Let Dylan Roof have a church ceremony from in his prison cell. Give him his AK-47 back. Give him whatever he had that same day. He did what he did. Give it back to him. Give him the hamburgers y'all fed him. Better yet, let them Negroes, the same ones who say they love him and want to have dinner with him and pray with him, let them bring him the hamburgers. Let them stay there unattended for about an hour and come back and let's see what happens. But I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. Because what I'm going to say to this is this. If you are this stupid, if something's got to happen, better it happen to you than it happened to me. See, I won't even entertain family members who think like that. If you're this dumb, I got nothing for you. Nothing. Stay the hell away from me. Because at this point in time, it seems like stupidity is contagious. Not for me, but for many of y'all will fall into this. And when you ask the Negroes, why do you feel this way? Why do you feel you need to forgive this person for doing what they did? Oh, the Most High. The Bible says I got to forgive. Okay, you know what? We got nothing more to talk about. Nothing. Nothing. Now, when it comes down to these civil rights Negroes, what I've noticed about the older men is older black men, in many cases, you got these rut-ass niggas. Ran down, ran through, bummy as all hell, who feel they got a right to lecture you. Some of these Negroes have an unprecedented jealousy toward younger black men. This is what I've noticed. These Negroes can be very condescending. They get emotional. They make no sense. They want to talk to you. Like, son, I'm trying to tell you something, son. I ain't your fucking son. Let's make that perfectly clear. But they feel they're entitled to this unconditional level of respect. And I'm talking about that. You got black women, the civil rights generation, that think like this as well. Ran down, ran through, bummy as all hell, but yet want to sit up here and lecture you on something. And you could be a working class man with many different accolades under your belt. And you're dealing with some rut-ass nigga who has no accomplishments, who has built absolutely nothing, who is knowledgeable on absolutely nothing, but yet you want to sit up here and attempt to lecture somebody on something which you know nothing about. See, I'm trying to tell you something. I'm trying to tell you something, son. I know more than you. No, you don't. You don't. Your results, your resume is fucking shot. It doesn't speak to this. But this is what they're going to tell you. And what you are dealing with when you encounter this, and I'm going to tell y'all got to quickly be able to pick up on these signs. And this is when you know whether you can sit there and have a discussion with somebody or whether you need to walk the fuck away. Because when you are dealing with somebody like this, the damn refrigerator comes on just now, Jesus Christ. When you are dealing with somebody like this, you are dealing with somebody who they know that they're failures. They understand this. Certain cases, you'll find some of these bummy dudes out here collecting goddamn cans, calling themselves trying to teach you or school you. What the fuck do you have to school? You out here collecting damn cans. Are you serious? But this is what they'll find themselves doing. And you have to conclude at some point, because I've been sitting back just trying to analyze this, just like many of you who have had fallouts with friends, family members over politics these past 2 years. And you wonder, how could this happen? How did they get to this point? We were just having a discussion. How did it get here? And it goes from having a mere discussion, and what you'll notice about these individuals is it gets more condescending, more disrespectful. Their tones start to flare. They start babbling. They ramble on an emotion. They ain't making out a damn bit of sense. And what you are going to notice, a common denominator of what I'm saying is, what you are breaking down to them, or when they give you their goofy, ridiculous excuses as of why they go out here and they vote Democrat, and you give them every excuse under the sun as of, it really makes no sense on why you did what you did. See, some of y'all are under the impression that, well, we can still wake these people up. No, I'm telling you, let them, they're not sleeping. They're not sleeping. What I'm saying to you is at some point in time, you have to classify this as intentional. If you were looking at Negroes that still can sit up here and talk about why they support Democrat and they're going to fight that tooth and nail and you can't even pry it out of their cold, dead fingers, at that point in time, you have to conclude that this is intentional. You're not dealing with something accidental. So when you were having discussions with these Negroes and they're fighting back, they're bucking against you with nothing that makes any legitimate sense as of why they went out here and voted the way they did. And you can prove and showcase every excuse they'll give you. You can debunk it with actual proof, providing them with links, documents, articles, whatever. You have endless information that you can give to them, and they still can't refute that. See, when you're dealing with a man who is dealing with somebody who's rational, who's reasonable, when you're dealing with somebody who might have been naive, who doesn't know, at some point when you can't defend your position, you are going to concede to the fact that, all right, even if you say, well, I'm not too sure, I'm going to do a little research on that, I'll get back to you on that. At some point, you were either going to get back to them with something that counteracts what they provided, or you are going to concede and say, hey, you know what? I really don't have a comeback for what you just said. But that's not what you get out of the Negroes. You don't get that out of them. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. These Negroes, in many cases, they know. They know their failures. They know they've accomplished absolutely nothing. They know that the younger generation was never a priority to them. They know this. They understand this. So when you call out, why are you voting for this Democratic Party who systematically fucks us over? It's going to fuck over the generations after generations. Well, after we're gone, they're still going to be fighting this battle. They know that they're responsible for this. They know this. And what you are showcasing, you are demonstrating their failures for more than half a fucking century. That you niggas are failures. And when you present that to them, this is another reason why they get so hostile. Because you're indirectly saying, yeah, you're a failure. Even though you didn't say it, even though that's not even your intention, you think you're just trying to wake this person up. But every time you point out their hypocrisy, they can't get around it. You're nailing them to the wall. You're showcasing and peeling back the layers of the onion, showcasing you are a fucking failure. This is why you go out here and vote like this. And since they know it's too late for them, they're too old, they're rut-ass niggas, they've accomplished absolutely nothing. The last thought that they want going on in the back of their mind, especially for some of these older black men, is for you to reach a higher level of success than they ever could without their assistance. Without them being able to take the credit for it. Without them being able to say, yeah, we did this for you. See, we's responsible for this. He is. No, you're not. No, you are not. So rather than living with that reality, they would rather burn the entire fucking ship. They would rather sink the entire ship rather than watch you rise without them. This is what you're doing. This is the only conclusion that I can come to when it comes down to these run-down, rut-ass niggas. I mean, it makes no other sense. It makes no sense based off of the positions that they take and what they have engaged in and what they have allowed to take place. It makes no sense. So yes, this is the reason why they vote Democrat. At this point in time, you have to conclude you're doing this intentional. And anybody that can still take their old run-down selves, their rut selves, and go to a voting booth and cast another vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris at that point in time, out of all of the damage that everybody can see, like I told you, there's no places I could go to and find people speaking favorably of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I'm in many different places here in New York City. Nobody. I'm talking about whites. I'm talking about Hispanics. I'm talking about blacks. I'm talking about whoever. Nobody speaks favorably about these two. Everyone knows that these two are a disaster. Now, if you come across one person that is trying to defend this position, you are going to get one out of 10, or 1 out of 25. These are the odds of what I'm telling you, which I've actually seen. Like I told you, there's no places I can go to and find people speaking favorably of Joe Biden. And this is a liberal shithole. Even the liberals don't speak. Even some liberal black women are not speaking favorably about Joe Biden. When I'm hearing some liberal black women telling me I'd rather have Trump in office than Joe Biden, that's letting you know something right there. When I'm talking to a good friend of mine who clearly could not stand Trump, wanted his ass out of office, but is now talking about, nah, I would rather have Trump for another 8 years before we deal with Joe Biden for another damn year. That's a 180 turnaround right there. Those are two opposing sides, two opposing extremes. You don't go from one extreme to the next extreme unless something seriously has taken place. So what I'm saying is that we've experienced the catastrophe of this Democratic Party. We see what the Democratic Party is doing over there in Chicago, flooding the black neighborhoods with these illegals. And what I'm saying to y'all, for those of you who think critically, you are going to have to classify that for what it is. If you are still looking at Negroes who are doing, oh, yeah, I support Joe Biden, anything better than Trump, but they come to you with these geriatric, mediocre fucking excuses, at this point in time, you don't waste your time having a discussion with them. You have to quickly be able to decipher this. You have to quickly know when you are dealing with somebody who is just naive and they don't know any better and you can wake them up, or versus you are dealing with somebody who is an actual traitor. And I'm going to give you an example of naive. I was naive the first two elections of Barack Obama because I voted for this clown within his first two elections. His last election was back in 2012 for re-election. I didn't get the information that I know now about Barack Obama up until 2013. The first person that started breaking the news about Barack Hussein Obama was David Carroll, the late David Carroll. He was the first one. And when he made his points, he was harsh. There was a video, I think it's still circulating right now on the internet. Before he even started wearing shades, he just had on a pair of regular glasses. You could see his eyes. And he was going in on black people. And the more I would listen to the stuff he was saying, and then he would break down, and this is what got me. When he stated that black people are the only people that Barack Obama would ever dare say, I'm not just the president for you. I'm not just the president for you people. I'm not just the president for you black people. So what you going to do for us, Mr. President? We voted for you in 93%, the highest turnout. What you going to do for us? Well, I'm not just the president for black people. He immediately follows up with that. Doesn't even try to be more subtle about it. Just blatantly let you know, nigga, don't ask me for shit. But he would not dare say this to gays. He would not dare say this to white women. He would not dare say this to Hispanics. He would not dare say this to the Asians. He would not dare say this to Jews. He would not dare say this to white men. You are the only race of people that he felt comfortable and confident enough to say that shit to. Now, I believe I heard the statement of him saying, yes, I'm not just the president for black people. Like I said, before I heard any of this other information, I said, I guess that's kind of true. I guess you could say I didn't really feel no type of ways towards it. But when you have somebody that can break down that, no, he's only saying this solely targeting you with these talking points, that's when I said, oh, now that's starting to dawn on me. That's offensive. That's offensive, because if you're going to have that level, that stance, then that's the same stance you need to take on every other group of people. Likewise, when it comes down to reparations, but some of y'all say, well, we shouldn't get reparations. No, I disagree with that. Because this country has paid out reparations to other groups. There was no excuses. There was no running around. They just made it happen. It's only when black people come along saying, hey, where's our check? All of a sudden, all these excuses, we can't just do this for you. All of a sudden, it's divisive and all this other bullshit. We don't know where we're going to get the money. But no, if that's the case, if that's how you felt, then you should have taken that stance with every other group that you've paid out. And since you have not done that, then those excuses now become null and void. You see, when I heard that statement, I'm not just the president for black people. I can't just do just for black people. When I forgot what the reporter's name was that was asking him, why don't you target something that specifically benefits the black community? He said, no. That's not how America works. Like I said, not even subtle with it. Not even discreet with it. Okay, I'll find a way to turn him down in a more common manner. No, he's just blatant. Letting you know, no, hell no. What? Oh, no. You come to me with this, man. Get out of here with that shit, man. Get out. Get the hell out of here. That's what you call egregious disrespect. And at that point in time, I was done with Barack Obama. And if I could go back and undo what I did, I wouldn't have voted for him either election. So when he comes out now and says black people need to uphold his legacy, fuck you. That's where I stand. And fuck your legacy, Barack Obama. That's where I stand. That will be the first and last time I ever fall into the sloganized talking points of what black people were saying back at that time. You can't complain about the problem and I'll help be a part of the solution. What solution was he offering? You say something like that, you better be able to speak to what solution he's actually offering. Because if you're offering nothing, then therefore you get nothing in return. I'm not going to vote on you based off you being black. Get the hell out of here with that. That's a one and done deal for me. But see, like I said, that's a matter of being naive. Because now that you have a host of other brothers who actually speak about this, who break this down, TD Media Hip Hop is one of them. Professor Black Truth is another one. Jason Black, a.k.a. the Black Authority, being another one. Phil Scott, another one. Regardless of whatever y'all think is, man. I don't care about his past. I care about what they're saying right now. I rock with the message. Hell, even some of the stuff that Tariq Nasheed talks about. I don't rock with Tariq Nasheed. But when he's talking about this stuff of reparations, listen, I'm with that. I'm in full support of that. I don't got to like you. I don't have to rock with you. It is the message that I'm rocking with. That's what needs to live on. But like I said, once I came across the information, never again will I fall into that trick bag that I did back then. That's when you can classify, okay, somebody, you were naive. Because I can actually sit down and explain to you why this was a mistake for you to go out and vote for this guy. And when you don't have a talking point that you can use, when you cannot legitimately and logically defend this guy or your position, you don't continue to double down on that position. You can concede and say, okay, I admit that was wrong. That was a mistake. I genuinely did not know. The point that I'm trying to make to y'all is you're not dealing with this when it comes down to the older generation of black people that still continue to vote for him. That's not what you're dealing with. All the evidence and information in the world is out there. You can go to YouTube and get this information for free, despite the fact that they try to shadow ban this information. You have more and more people speaking out against this. So you can find this in abundance. So when you have these Negroes that are sitting up here telling you, I know about that, you know when you are dealing with somebody that you can redeem is when they sit down and actually listen to you, when they compare the information, and when they realize, okay, I have no position that I can stand on here. They eventually concede to what you're saying. At some point, when you know you were dealing with somebody that's redeemable, they would find themselves getting angry with what the Democratic Party has done. Not defending the Democratic Party. When you find somebody who is willing to defend that, and that is the hill that they choose to die on, what I am telling you is that it's not by accident. You are dealing with somebody who is a traitor. Now, I told y'all some years ago, when it comes down to black women that go out here and they vote Democrat, and you ask them why vote for them? And they give you every excuse under the sun. They get disrespectful with you. And I'm going to tell y'all, there's some talking points that you're going to have to start picking up on right away that lets you know exactly where they stand. Because black women that think like this, they have a problem with masculine black men. They have a problem with black men who speak unapologetically. And what you're going to notice is if you are talking from a perspective of a masculine perspective and speaking unapologetically, what you are going to notice is they're going to get offended. You don't have to say anything that offends them. You could just speak with conviction. You could just speak from the heart. Speak with integrity. Speak unapologetically. This is where I stand. These are my core values. This is what I believe in, and I'm not wavering on that for nobody. What you are going to notice when you start speaking like this is you are going to come across females who will get sarcastic with you, start saying undertone, disrespectful shit. And that right there is what you need to pick up on. When you hear talking points like this, you're going to hear condescending talking points, and the disrespect is going to continue more and more. When you start hearing a female responding to you like this, and now mind you, now you have done nothing to offend her, but she's responding to you like this, what you are going to have to acknowledge is this is a liberal. And black liberal women have a problem with masculine, heterosexual black men. This is why they are combative. This is why they'll attempt to challenge you on silly, asinine things. Stupid shit that only a child would argue over. I told you years ago, this one chick tried to get into an argument with me she attempted to get into an argument with me over the arrangement of train seats. And I'm not talking about far as, who's going to sit in what seat. No, I'm talking about what formation was the seats in. Was it 2 seats on both sides of the train? Or was it 3 on one side and 2 on the other? It literally became an argument. I had to say, wait a second, hold on. I said, calm down. It's not that serious. But see, we're talking about years ago. And it was still much that I was learning years ago. And this is back when Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were running for the presidency. Also, this is this very same individual who wanted Hillary Clinton to win the election. And I said, okay, why do you want her to win? Oh, well, she's most experienced. At what? Can you tell me what her policies are? You know what I got? A blank stare. Can you tell me what her agenda is? You know what I got? A blank stare. Can you tell me in what way, shape, or form does she intend on benefiting you as a black woman or black women collectively? I got nothing more but a blank stare. It made no sense. And it didn't dawn on me then, but I just said, okay, I'm wondering why this is. How is it that you support something that makes no sense? You can't even give me a legitimate reason as to why you are supporting this. But then as I can remember interacting with her, how condescending she could be. Many times when I had to check her. How she thought she was better. How she would attempt to challenge me on things that are so asinine and stupid that no critically thinking human being would waste their time turning this into an argument to a point where she would start to pout like a child. We're talking about someone who was damn near in their 40s at this time. And I'm saying, my God, who does this? But the thing is, after seeing this pattern quite a few times, and I've actually seen it before then, I just didn't know what I was looking at. But seeing it now, I know what I'm dealing with now. And what I'm trying to give y'all, I'm giving y'all the signs of when you are dealing with a woman who thinks like this. And I'm telling all of you brothers, leave them alone. Stay away from them. You come across some of these black females who think like this, want to challenge you on nonsense, want to be resistant to you when there's no reason to do so at all. There is no benefit in it for you to be so goddamn combative, other than the fact that you are trying to prove or establish superiority over me. Leave them alone. Don't even waste your time. And you're going to notice this right away. If you speak from an unapologetic perspective, a masculine black male perspective, they are going to have a problem with you. And they're going to do everything in their power to challenge that. A simple thing, just to go back into one more example with this. I remember we went out to a place to eat. And I bought the food, drove us there, paid for everything. And I believe she wanted some napkins. I said, the napkins are up there. You can go up there and get them. And while you're at it, can you get me one? And she was like, well, no, that's not how this works. I said, no, the napkins are there. And while you're at it, can you get me one? I mean, despite the fact that I paid for everything, it shouldn't be too much to ask to say, hey, can you get me a napkin while you're at it? See, no woman who respects a masculine man has a reason to challenge that. But this woman was doing this. And what would be the reason why? Because I want to challenge your masculinity. I have a problem with your masculinity. Even when I told you when I was doing rideshare. And it's only been with black women that I've encountered, okay, you get in the car, you got food. When I say, hey, listen, you can't eat that shit in my car. Well, I don't say it like that, but I let them know you can't eat food in my car. I've had guys pull this. What happens? They put the food away. My fault. All right, give me a second. Let me wrap this up. They put it away. Or can I stand outside and finish eating? All right. I don't have a problem when it comes down to men. I tell the men something, hey, listen, chill out. They respect it. Whether they like it or not, they respect it. Black women, on the other hand, feel it is their right to get into somebody else's property. Do what they want to. Showcase no respect, even when I tell you what the rules are. You're challenging me on my rules. It ain't your vehicle. You don't set the rules in this vehicle. You don't pay for the vehicle. You are merely riding the vehicle to get to where you have to go. You're paying for the time that you're riding in it. It doesn't give you the right to do whatever the hell you want. And instead of respecting that, saying, okay, I'm sorry about that. Let me go ahead and put this away. Give me a second. No, they want to challenge you on your authority. Now, remember that, because I said something very similar to this back in 2020. Because what would be the reason that you would have black women in such a record number go out here and vote Democrat? And when you can showcase this party does absolutely nothing for you, this party is destroying your community. Attempting to make you a permanent underclass. I'm not telling you to vote Republican or Democrat. I'm telling you, if you were going to vote, why not put an agenda? Vote for an agenda. Say, hey, this is what my vote is for. Either you meet this or you don't get my vote. Either party can grab this vote. As long as you wanted to acquiesce to this agenda. And they will respond with anger. They will respond with vitriol, disrespect. They will buck up at you. This is what you're going to encounter. The irrational reasons and excuses that you'll listen to, that they'll give you, make absolutely no fucking sense. It is counteractive. It is counter your survival. But yet and still, they will sit up here and attempt to defend these positions. And the question is why? Why? And just like the older washed up civil rights generations who are nothing more but blatant failures, since they can't claim their way to saying, hey, we're the reason why they're successful, we will sink the whole damn ship. Now, the reasoning is a little bit different for black women. This is why you still have more of them who go out and vote Democrat over black men. The reasoning is simple. What you are going to notice when you see females with this mindset, the men that they deal with are typically weak-minded, even if they make a lot of money. They're simps. Or they deal with men who do not make money or make working mediocre jobs that they can control. The common denominators, they deal with men that they deal with men that they can mentally manipulate. Doesn't matter whether he has a lot of money or whether he has no money at all. They deal with men that they can mentally manipulate. If they can find a high-earning simp, that is exactly what they'll deal with. They'll deal with men that say, oh, yeah, my wife was the best in the family. She's the boss of the household. That's what they is. They deal with men that they can mentally control, dominate, and manipulate. And when they see you as a masculine black man speaking from an unapologetic perspective, you can't dominate me. You can't play mental gymnastics with me. You can't manipulate me. That shit ain't going to work with me. You can't shame me. That shit ain't going to work with me either. Oh, yeah, they feel some kind of way. They're afraid of that. This is why they reared all these weak-ass, fucking simp-ass black men that you see out here right now. And what they are completely devoid of is a patriarch. They respect patriarch, but not in the form of it being from a black man or from black men. They don't want male leadership from black men. This is why you have so many of them that are out here who will go out here and support or will be about interracial dating. There's a deeper science to that when you see them out here advocating and promoting white guys. They respect patriarch, just not from you as a black man. That's what you're dealing with. And despite the fact that the Democratic Party will literally destroy their own community, they can care less. The Democratic Party will do nothing for you, but we will ensure that you are under no circumstances under black male patriarchy. And that is enough for them. This is all they need to go out here and say, yeah, we'll go out here and cast a vote for you. Because as long as we ain't got to answer to them niggas, we fine with that. And y'all will know this. You will see this consistent pattern when you have discussions with some of these women, which you are going to notice the moment you challenge them on who they voted for and why they voted for them, the conversation is going to get disrespectful. And it's not going to be you that brings the disrespect. You're going to be baffled. You're going to be perplexed. Why is this happening? I thought we were just having a discussion. It is going to be her that brings up this disrespect. Fly off the goddamn handle. Get angry with you. Many of y'all have called into some of these panels and have stated this to people like Jason Black or other people that y'all were talking to. Have stated that you have had fallouts with people that you were cool with or you thought you were cool with. And what I'm telling you, black men, right now, for those of you who think on a similar level, do not deal with a female who thinks like this. If you were coming across a combative woman, leave her ass alone. Don't even waste your time having a discussion with her. I can spot them a mile away. I can tell by their whole vibe toward me. I'll know you. I won't have to ask a single question about who you voted for. I won't have to ask about your personal background. I can just tell by your reaction to me talking as a masculine, heterosexual, unapologetic black man. And your reaction to that is going to let me all know all I need to know about as far as I'm willing to go as far as engaging you. I'm giving y'all some gems here. Y'all can either take this or do what y'all want with it, but this is what y'all need to start picking up on. I told a coworker some time ago. I'm trying to see how I can finesse this. Let me see. Do I even want to bring this up? You know what? Now I'm going to leave that one alone. Well, this is what I want y'all to pick up on. I want you to know who and what you were dealing with. I want you to know why you were dealing with this. Because some of y'all have witnessed things that make absolutely no goddamn sense. And the point that I'm overall trying to get to you is some of y'all think, oh, well, they're in this, they're being hypnotized. You know, they use witchcraft on them. No, that is not it at all. This doesn't even make sense because the Democrats don't even have the level of competence to use witchcraft on these people. The agendas that they push make no fucking sense. There's no reason why any sound, logical person would support this. And then you have to wonder and ask the question, because like I told y'all, I'm over here in New York City. And no place that I go, hell, I can have random people approaching me in different parts of the city saying the same shit. It don't matter whether they black, white, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Asian, they all say the same fucking thing. So how is it that all of these other groups of people, and this is a liberal shithole where I should be hearing more people, oh, we like Joe Biden. They ain't doing that. More than 99% of them have a problem with Joe Biden. So how is it that you can have more so within this particular group that you have these individuals that will go out here and still think this guy somehow is a good president? And yet you have not one logical reason to defend why you believe or feel that way. That's because at this point in time, this is not accidental. Y'all are going to have to start waking up and noticing when people are treasonous in your community. Y'all are going to have to start picking up on these goddamn signs. And when you come across people like this, you don't attempt to resuscitate them. You don't attempt to redeem them. Let them go, is what I'm telling you. I'll be damned if I'm going to be spoke down to by some rut-ass nigga who has no accomplishments under their belt and you sitting up here trying to talk shit to me. Nigga, get your rut-ass the fuck up away from me. Get the hell away from me with that. What a lot of y'all are going to notice, even with some of these black women who think this way, is they're going to be support in the of the Joy Reids, of the Simone Sanders, the Tiffany Crosses, telling black men to shut up and get in line. They're going to be in support of that. Hell, I remember I spoke to a black woman one time, and I was talking about Ice Cube's contract for Black America. And she was upset. She was pissed off with Ice Cube, and I couldn't figure it out. Why are you so upset with this man? I mean, what he's talking about would directly benefit you. It would directly benefit you. And then somehow we got into the topic of how he was supposed to have a meeting with the Democratic Party and how they literally brushed him off. Now we'll have a discussion after the elections, which they never did. So she went as far as to say, well, they tried to have a meeting with him. Kamala Harris tried to set it up and he declined. Well, I said, well, the reason why he did that is because he didn't want to be on a panel with a bunch of other rappers and having the focal point being diluted with nonsense, because that's exactly what would have happened. And I just remember listening to her get upset. Who does he think? She said, who the fuck does he think he is? She offered to have a meeting with him and he declined. Who the fuck does he think he is? She got irate. I couldn't believe it. She was infuriated. And I'm saying to myself, over what? I mean, you can be infuriated. Well, now it makes sense to me. It makes perfect sense. Because here you have a masculine black man. Okay? Speaking from an unapologetic stance and perspective. And the thing is, it made perfect sense on why Ice Cube would say this. Because he already tried that. He went on Roland Martin's show. What was it? Alicia Garza, whatever. And you seen the disrespect that she gave him. Some of y'all need to get in line. This is what she said. Listening to it. Okay, you know what? But this is what she said to him. The talking points, and there was no reason for Roland Martin to even have her on with Ice Cube. It should have just been Roland Martin and Ice Cube. But there's a reason why that was done. And that was the diet which was getting tangibles for black Americans. The point is, Ice Cube could go enjoy his millions and go run off into the sunset and not look back. He don't have to do shit for black people. But he decided to go forth and do something and say, you know what? Nah, this ain't fair to my people. Let me step up and try to get something done. And yet you got a lot of these females who will go out here and support NBA players who have done nothing for your community. Rappers who do nothing for your community. Other black people who do absolutely nothing for your community. But yet when you have a black man trying to get something done when he doesn't have to, you get irate with this man. Not because he disrespected you. Not because he cursed you out. Not because he's singling you out. No, he's trying to come up with a plan that benefits black people collectively. And you got black women getting irate with this man. One other consistency that you are going to see amongst females who think like this is not only in addition that with the few times that you actually see them with men, they deal with men who are beta males, whether they come from finances or whether they're completely broke. They deal with men that they can easily manipulate and control, mentally dominate. Or in many cases, you will not even see them with a man, period. Because no man of mean can stand to be around them. And the times that you might actually see them with men, they have no problem hanging out with flaming homosexuals. Gay men. I'm not talking about guys that you have to really kind of ask, are you gay? No, I'm talking about somebody that just, you can look at this guy, okay. You borderline in drag or trans. They have no problem being around people like this. These are going to be the common denominators with females that think like this. And what I'm telling you, brothers, is at some point in time, you don't need to sit around arguing with them why they think like this. You have to be able to quickly conclude and take the knowledge of what you got out of this production and know that this is what you're dealing with. You are dealing with somebody who is a traitor. There's no level of rationale that you can give. How much more logic and reasoning can I use with you at this point in time? You have no way of refuting what I'm saying. It's not that I ain't break it down good enough. No, you simply can't refute a single word of what I stated. So at this point in time, when you are still sitting up here defending piss poor choices and will sit up and co-sign the destruction of your own community so you can be devoided of a black male patriarchy, at that point in time, we have to classify you as a traitor. Now, for the black people, men and women who think like myself, who are sick of what you are looking at, who are disgusted, because at this point in time, this is infuriating to me. Because we have these washed up Negroes, these degenerates, who serve no fucking purpose in black society, who are literally just steering the black community down a fucking ditch. It is to a point where their stupidity, their psychotic behavior and stupidity is going to get us all in a situation that we can't get out of. These are just the goddamn facts. They are putting us in a very dangerous position. And like I told y'all years ago when it came down to Brett Jean, somebody doing something like that, what he has done is dangerous. Because they are setting the precedent that you can completely undermine us. And once that momentum starts to build up, they're already trying to set it up to where it's such a high momentum that guess what? It's going to be hard to fucking slow it down. And they're doing this by allowing illegals and an influx of illegals into these goddamn cities. Some of you brothers are laid up with with females who think like this. You're going to have to make a choice. If you don't got no ties to her, you can cut a clean slate. It might be time for you to head for the goddamn hills. Some of y'all are laid up with a damn female who's going to go out there and continue to vote Democrat no matter what the hell happens. At that point in time, listen, I say this much. If you are going to, what you are doing is helping to construct a prison to put black people in. And before you put me into that prison, I'd rather you stay in there for the rest of your goddamn days before I be impacted by your blatant, your betrayal and unprecedented stupidity. I am not trying to resuscitate nobody like this. I am not trying to redeem anybody like this. The definitions that I've given you or the examples and the descriptions that I've given you. Many of these are members of your families. Many of these might be co-workers that you thought you were cool with. Many of these might be your girlfriends, your spouses. I don't know about husbands. Well, in certain cases, maybe it is a guy that you're dealing with. But I think men are a little bit more easier to talk some sense into. But you're going to have to once again figure this out. Now, you do have more black women that are waking up that are saying no to this. And if you are like me and you think similar to me and you're sick of what you see, you're tired of the blatant disrespect. You're tired of the Democrats sending their bootlicks out here to pull their bullshit and to disrespect you. They don't come to no other group of people like this except black people. You won't see a Tiffany Cross talking like this to no other group of people except black men. And I want y'all to take a look at this past, the midterm elections that happened back in November last year. The Republicans didn't get the votes that they wanted. They didn't get the victory in the numbers that they were anticipating. Did you see Republicans waving and wagging their fingers in the faces of conservative men? No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I remember them saying, I seen this on Fox News, the title of the video, the outline of the video was called, "This Was a Disaster." And when I actually looked at the video, they were talking about how they failed. They failed to galvanize the young vote. They failed to get people energized to come to the polls and vote for them. And we have to do better. They blamed themselves. That's what they did. They did not go ahead and blame the voters. They didn't blame their base. They know better than that. It is only within this Democratic Party, and they only and exclusively reserve this primarily for black men, to attempt to lecture us. When we want something done, you got, what's that dumb bitch's name? What's her, Amanda Seals. I don't care about a black vote. Bitch, go sit the fuck down somewhere. Telling us we ain't supposed to worry about no vote. Just get your ass out here. Well, don't worry about an agenda, but just get your ass out here and vote for Democrats. No. The egregious disrespect. There needs to be pushback on this. And the only way you're going to start giving pushback on this, you have to implement that there's a consequence. So when it comes down to this washed up, failed civil rights generation, you don't talk to them about them in high regards. You don't talk about any accomplishments that they've done or whatever to younger children. You don't, because the fact of the matter is they've accomplished nothing. You speak about them in the light that they are regarded in, which are failures. They are nothing more but failures. You get no respect from me. I'm not going to put you on a pedestal. You're a joke. You're not like the generation that came before you that actually built something, cared about passing down generational wealth. You niggas never cared about that. And this is why the youth have absolutely nothing and are starting from the same fucking position, ground zero, that you should have been built up upon more than 60 fucking years ago. This is why this happens. So when you speak about them, they need to go down in their history books as the greatest failure in Black America. This is a classic textbook example of what not to do. I don't care whether they like it or not. The precedent needs to be set, because when you set that precedent and nobody attempts to ever be like them, this is how you actually start to change the narrative. For these dominating black females that want to reign supreme over black men, let them stay single. Become the cat lady. Adopt a bunch of damn dogs. Because nobody wants you. That's the way it needs to end for you. Let them quarantine themselves with their own stupidity. If you can't deal with your bitterness and find a way to deal with that shit, then nobody needs to put up with you. It's just that damn simple. If you haven't found out or found a way to correct whatever traumas you went through in the past, and you were still blaming all black men, then I'm sorry. Nobody should have to put up with you. When it comes down to friends or members of your family, if you see that this is how they are unrelenting, that they're going to go out here and cast another goddamn vote, and I'm going to help put Joe Biden and Kamala Harris back in the White House. You got to ask yourself, is this someone that you want to be in affiliation with? Because at this point in time, our survival is at stake. This isn't funny. Tomorrow's not promised to you. Nobody owes you your survival. That's up to black people. It ain't going to be up no Most High. It ain't going to be no political party. It's going to be black people that are going to have to get ourselves out of this one. And if you got people who are working, first of all, we know that roadblocks and all kinds of traps are being built against us. The last thing you expect to see are people that you care about actually helping to set those traps up against you. But unfortunately, a lot of you have seen this. And now that you have seen this, the question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to still continue to sit down at the dinner table with these people and act as if this didn't happen? We're going to play stupid. Hey, we can still sit down for Thanksgiving dinner and act as if the unprecedented treason that you've committed, that you didn't just commit, we're going to sit there and go back to being friends and family? No, as far as I'm concerned, we can't do that. Because the damage has already been done. Just that simple. It's already been done. If you're going out here and you're voting Democrats into office, and now they're bum rushing our neighborhoods with illegals, giving them resources that they won't give us, and you can still sit up here and you're not angry behind that. You're not saying you're going to do something different, but you're going to go back out there again and vote for these same people. We're done. Nothing to talk about. It's time to let you. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, the older generation, y'all can wither off. And maybe y'all are better off pushing up daisies at this point in time right now, because you serve no purpose while living. Some of y'all might say, well, that's harsh. I don't care, because what's happening to us right now is harsh. I'm not going to be sympathetic to people who go out here and help commit acts of treason. I'm just not. Anyway, I rambled on quite a bit with this. Let me see how long I've been. Over an hour, damn near an hour and a half. I've been here for a while with this one. But y'all got the information that y'all need to know. And as I've told y'all, and I continue to keep telling you, it's going to get to a point where you're going to have to make some harsh decisions. You're going to have to. And if you see that you are dealing with treasonous people, know how to quickly be able to spot a treasonous person. Know when you are dealing with somebody who is naive. Somebody who is naive doesn't know. When you break down the facts to them, they then know and they switch up their strategy. That's a naive person. That's a redeemable person. But when you are dealing with somebody who is engaged in treason, you can break down the facts to them. You can show them the proof. They have nothing to refute it with, and they are still going to double down. Not only double down, but they will triple down on stupid. And when they have nothing furthermore that they can come back at you with, they then resort to attacks. They get emotional. They get angry. You're going to notice they come at you with a firestorm. Or they'll come at you with intangibles. And I'll give you one example before I go. This is an old individual that, boy, what was it? They call her the mother of Juneteenth. These are the bootlicks. And she came out here and she was like, well, this is the pen that Joe Biden used to sign Juneteenth into a holiday. That old geriatric heifer. Buckeyed bimbo. I mean, let me just calm down for a second. This same individual. See, it's people like this they are trying to use to sell black people on these foolish ideas that amount to absolutely nothing. And like I stated, it is going to be up to you to give pushback on this. But that right there, this is an embarrassment. The fact that we have a never-ending list of bootlicks and sellouts. This shit is just unprecedented to me. I mean, I get it. At some point, people want to live comfortably. People want to make money. But you are willing to sell out your entire fucking race of people down a damn river just so you can live comfortably. I will never understand this. And I've always said to myself, if I can't look myself in the mirror and be proud of who the hell I am, it ain't worth it waking up the next goddamn day. I don't know how some of these individuals do what they do. I don't know how they do what they do. I don't even care at this point in time. Overall, what I care about is that I have the ability to insulate myself from your blatant stupidity. If you are building a prison to put black people in, I'd rather that prison house you and you only, if this is what you're doing. I don't care what happens to you in that prison. I don't care to redeem you after what happens to you in that prison. You need to be made the permanent example out of. This is the way I'm thinking. As I've told y'all, black Americans, you're going to have to start setting forth consequences. There needs to be a separation. There needs to be some level of segregation. Oh, that's too harsh. No, what that does is it sets a precedent. And what it does is it showcases to the younger generation coming up that, no, you're going to have to choose what side you're on. You ain't straddling both sides of the goddamn fence here. Because one is for our destruction. And you're going to have to prove whether you are for our success, our advancement, or whether you are for our destruction. And when you set that precedent and you set forth that there are consequences behind selling out the goddamn race, that's what keeps people in order, is when they realize that there are true consequences behind their actions. These bootlicks, the Tiffany Crosses, the Joy Reids, the Simone Sanders, the rest of the bimbos that come out here, the Roland Martins, I mean, come on. These Negroes do what they do because they understand that, hey, I could be insulated from black society by white society. If I go out here and I shuck and jive for them, hey, they will insulate me from whatever backlash comes back from them. And this is the reason why I'm telling y'all. You are going to have to showcase that there are consequences. But I also want y'all to remember what I told you at the beginning of this production. When it comes down to your belief in religion and God, the Most High, the Creator, whatever you want to call it, I'm giving you a reason to, as a white supremacy, the white liberals can get all of these bootlicks on board with them. And it always ends the same way for them. It's the same story and playbook. We've seen this movie. We know the beginning, the middle, the end. Hell, we even know the goddamn sequel at this point. It always ends the same. But what they demonstrate is they can get endless bootlicks in line with them is because we can reward the bootlicks. This is what the liberals do. And it's the same thing when I tell you when it comes down to, regardless of where you think their moral position is, just understand how you influence people is what I want y'all to understand. So when you got black people sitting up here putting so much emphasis on the Most High, God, Yahshua, Jesus Christ, something that you can't even prove, something that hasn't even demonstrated for you, even if you can't physically see it, but if you follow me, there is a benefit for you. There are protections. There are tangibles. That doesn't even happen. This is why I tell y'all, stop following inactive strategies that produce no results for you. The only thing I follow are results, beneficial results. If it doesn't lead to beneficial results, I don't follow it. That's just how my mind works. Let me alleviate all the other bullshit that is not needed. If you are going to convince me to follow something, it has to be a beneficial result. The outcome has to be beneficial for me at the end. So when you wonder why they can get all these people to go out here and sell out the entire community for them, it's because they're willing to put their money where their mouth is. Meanwhile, if y'all thinking y'all going to galvanize a bunch of black people with your Quran, with your Most High, with your Jesus, with your Yahshua, guess what? That's simply not going to happen, because you cannot produce any tangible results out of that. As I stated, and I'm going to leave you with this last example before I close this production out. I want you to think of the reputation of black people. Now it seems like there's some resistance being pushed back. So the momentum of deteriorating our reputation is starting to decline, because there's been more and more pushback, which I like seeing. So there's more black people starting to wake up. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. But these civil rights generation old washed-up Negroes have literally destroyed our reputation nationwide. These single mother generation black females who've gone out here, produced babies with all different types of men, don't care for rules, don't want a black patriarch, they have systematically destroyed the black reputation. And I want you to understand, when you are at an extreme, because we are at an extreme right now. When you are at an extreme, which we are at an extreme low, it is going to take an extreme to bring that back up to where it needs to be. Just think about and I always use this example. What you were looking at on your screen, it fits right into my analogy. That's the inside of a combustion chamber to a boiler. All right? That combustion chamber it's on low fire. The boiler is just on low fire. And the reason it's on low fire is because it's demand. So it's just maintaining, it's coasting. All right? It's a whole nother story if the demand if it sinks well below the requirement, then that flame is automatically going to kick into high gear, and you're not even going to be able to see the edge to that goddamn flame. It's just going to look like nothing but a bunch of blue rays coming at you. But when it's demand, and it's just a matter of maintaining its demand, it can just coast. What happens in a home or a building in the dead of winter if you decide to just shut the heat off? That's one of the worst things you can do, right? Because the temperature drops so low, it takes a long time to restore it. So instead of your boiler or your burner running at a nice low flame setting like this, just maintaining temperature, it has to now run at an extreme. You have to put it in full fire. See, since everything is maintained, it can stay at this extreme, which is the low extreme. We're just maintaining. We don't got to come in high. But if everything dropped, it would have to get back into high fire. I want y'all to thoroughly understand that. And I want y'all to understand that the temperature being set so low, that is the black reputation right now. Our reputation is at that low point. So if you think you are now going to put this burner on and let it run and coast at low fire, and that's going to restore the reputation, no, that's not. Like I said, it's going to take extreme actions to restore this reputation. And you're going to have to run at that extreme action for a while. What are the extreme actions? That means disconnecting yourself from those who you know are willful sellouts, having nothing to do with them ever again. Not affiliating yourself with people who think vote blue no matter who. Leave them alone. Oh, that's extreme. No, it sets a perfect precedent. Because it showcases for those coming up that, listen, there are consequences if you go out here and you engage in the behaviors in which they have done. One other example, and I keep on saying it, but one other example I want to briefly reference is Montana Fishburne, the daughter of Lawrence Fishburne. I believe that they are still on bad terms. And I say that's good. That's a necessary response. If he cuts her off and has nothing more to do with his daughter, that is a necessary response. Why? There needs to be a consequence demonstrated when you go ahead and you do something egregiously disrespectful to tarnish that man's name. Yes, consequences must be had. There is no other way you can get around this. And like I told y'all, it's going to be to a point where black people are going to have to start thinking in that same manner. Now, some of y'all, who's Montana Fishburne? That's Lawrence Fishburne's daughter, who done porn. I think it was back in 2009. Y'all should know who Lawrence Fishburne is. But with his name and reputation, why would his daughter ever have to get into doing porn? And at that point in time, when you acknowledge that you had no business doing that, and you destroy your father's reputation like that, yes, an extreme consequence must be demonstrated. You don't let her reap the benefits of the fruits of your labor. You don't put her on your will if something happens. You don't leave her in that nice house that you bought. You don't go out there and get her a nice car. You let her go out there and struggle for herself. You demonstrate to the fact that there are real consequences behind going out here and selling out my fucking legacy. And this is a very similar concept that black people who are critical thinkers, who are sick of the bullshit and the disrespect that we see that is being exhibited by this Democratic Party and has been enabled by not only black women who literally can't stand black men, but these rut-ass niggas who literally would sink an entire ship of black people just because they can't say, well, we're the ones that built them up. At some point, you are going to have to demonstrate that there is a real consequence behind this. That means you're going to have to walk away from people that you knew at one point in time. Former friends, family members. Some of y'all might say, oh, that's harsh. I've known these people all my life. Well, nothing lasts forever is what I say. These are the honest facts. And I don't know what's going on with these fire trucks, but let me try to get through this. But these are the honest facts. Nothing lasts forever in this life. Your life does not last forever. You only got a short window of opportunity to get things done in this world. And when you start to realize the reason why this has happened, or why your reputation is sunken so low, you figured your parents, your older generation ahead of you, we can't call them elders, they ain't accomplished nothing, they don't deserve the respect. And when you see they have left absolutely nothing behind, and why you have to pick up the pieces over the very same playing field that they started from, because they never cared to leave anything behind for you. At that point in time, when you got to say, this cycle has to end. Your legacy needs to end with you, because your legacy never stood for any goddamn thing. That's how the civil rights generation needs to be known. Your legacy must end with you. Why? Because you never stood for anything in the first place. And rather than keep continuing on that failed legacy, it is time to end that and implement something that actually works, which is not what you have been doing. Like I told y'all, the choice is yours. Some of y'all ain't going to want to make that choice. Some of y'all, well, I enjoy being around this person, or I enjoy being laying up with this girl. No, some of y'all going to have to start making these choices, because your survival is not guaranteed. And with that being stated, I rambled on for a long enough period of time in this production. So I'll catch you on a later date.